In the legal world, there is a combination of forces that feed a corrupt and suffocating legal system for attorneys. Law schools, law professionals, judges, and even the firms themselves for whom you work create a system, a matrix, if you will, that is nothing like what you thought when you passed the bar exam. The purpose of this podcast is to help you escape this legal matrix, leading you out of the proverbial desert to be free of the bondage of the matrix. Hosted by Bryce D. Nyer, attorney at law with over 30 years experience in the trenches of civil and criminal litigation at the state, federal, and international levels. He's a highly accomplished and resourceful legal professional, a true master of his craft, and he's here to help you get your life back. Here's your host, Bryce D. Nyer.
All right. This is Bryce D. Nyer, coming at you from Fayetteville, North Carolina, home of Fort Bragg, now called Fort Liberty, but I am not going to call it that. We're here for another episode of Escape the Legal Matrix, an attorney's exodus from what? From legal bondage. And what are we going to talk about today? Well, I've got a great topic that I want to discuss with all of you, especially for those of you who procrastinate and don't make bold decisions and are 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And today's topic is death by sedation. Death by sedation. Well, you're saying, well, what does that mean? Well, of course, on my episodes, I'm going to tell you what it means. So in life, a lot of us, we procrastinate. We do. I do. I've done it in my life. Many times. I've been 1 foot in and 1 foot out about major decisions and things to do, and it's probably stopped my growth in all of the domains that came to and made him come to a standstill instead of moving a lot faster in body, being balance, business, and fulfillment. And sedation happens when basically you take no action. You sit there and you sedate, for example, on maybe watching Netflix or movies on Amazon Prime, or you're surfing on social media. I don't know if you've seen the stats, but they're alarming about people at work who are constantly glued to their phones or their computers on social media, sedating. And it's because they do not want to face the realities of their pits in life. And we've talked about pits before. Pits are basically the obstacles that you're facing in life. You're in a pit. It may be a horrible marriage. It may be an addiction to drugs, an addiction to booze. It can be many things. The pits can be many things. And we go from this thing called pit to peak, where one day you're just at your rock bottom, then you hit a peak and you're doing great, but then, something happens and you get knocked off your pedestal and you're back down in the pit. And a lot of times it's because of sedations, and people stay in the pit because they don't take the actions necessary and that are required to get out of the pit. So sedation over an extended period of time can result in you being the walking dead. It is a slow and painful process, and sometimes it's like cancer. You may not even know there's cancer inside your body, and it's like a silent killer. And you're just on cruise control in your life. You're sedating. You're just going along, and you really don't know any difference because you've become institutionalized. It's the same thing as like men and women that spend years or decades in prison. And that's the only life they know. And when they're released, whether it's on parole or they've served their sentence, they're not able to grapple and grasp being back in the regular world because they've become institutionalized of when to get up, when to eat their meals, when they're in their cell, when they're not in their cell, a certain time on the exercise yard. And it's regulated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week while they're in prison. And so then they get this freedom and they don't know what to do because the rules of the game are completely different when you're free versus when you're in a prison. And for many in the legal profession, they don't realize that they're in this prison because they're sedating. I can't tell you I think I've lost count of the number of lawyers that I personally know that sedate on alcohol. I know one of my colleagues, this particular colleague, drinking every single day. And I'm not talking like one drink. I'm talking like pounding the booze, like nonstop, hour after hour after hour, 7 days a week. And how this particular person even functions, I have no idea. Then you have others that are constantly cruising social media, looking for the likes or communicating because they don't want to face and grapple with the pits in their life or the obstacles. And so what happens is over a period of time, your sedations are going to lead you to these addictions. Again, whether it's porn or it's alcohol or it's illegal drugs or whatever it is. And your domains of body, being, balance, business, and fulfillment are going to be adversely affected by this death by sedation. And it's happening all over the world. When you really look at it, especially when you see the commercials on TV for all these antidepressants, and you look at the statistics of how many people in this country are diagnosed with major depression or depressive disorders or suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideations, you come to realize that they all have a common denominator. And that common denominator is they're sedating on something and they don't have the skill sets, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the ruthless commitment to rising out of the pit. And so what happens is they become subsidized in living by taking these pharmaceutical drugs. Now, I have my opinion, and you may have your opinion on all these antidepressant drugs. I think a lot of them are exceedingly dangerous. I do. To me, they're maybe a temporary numbing or temporary fix to a systemic problem that's deep-rooted somewhere in a person. And for the most part, in the legal matrix, the legal profession, again, it's really legal matrix, the pressures to practice law, to run a law firm, or to work for somebody else, meeting all these deadlines, these constant collisions, these constant conflicts. And remember, these collisions and conflicts they're going to be with everybody. Your client, your staff, your boss, maybe you're the boss, maybe your associates, the judges, especially, and in particular, opposing counsel, the staffs at the courthouse, because see, nobody cares about you and nobody's coming to save you. And this is why we keep going back to you have to save yourself. And then what happens as a result of all these stressors and these pits is men and women, they sedate. And in the legal profession, they sedate. I mean, as we discussed on earlier episodes about the most recent statistics of the quality of life for lawyers that just came out within the last 2 to 3 months, and they're published every year by the American Bar Association. It was, as I said in my other episodes, it was astounding. It was stunning to realize that when they took a survey of a few thousand lawyers, that the group that had the highest thoughts of suicide were the lawyers that were under 30 years of age. Now think about that. Because again, as I said, lawyers typically come out, if they go right after undergrad, they're about 25 years old. So again, within a 5-year period, something has happened to where people have these thoughts of self-destruction or harming themselves. It says it right there in the study. It just blows my mind about this. And what I have seen personally and professionally over my time battling the legal matrix are these lawyers that have died this slow death. They don't even know who they are anymore. They're incapable of making bold decisions. They're incapable of rising because they've dug themselves into these pits. And it's arisen because of this slow death by sedation. And if you're not careful, even in law school, you will start to get into a pattern of sedation. I know for a fact, well, even a few years ago when somebody I know had just started law school, and in the first week when this particular person called me, she said that in the first week, there were 1Ls already drinking at noon, already drinking booze. And essentially what they were doing was sedating because they had realized that the first year of law school, which is exceedingly intense, was not like undergraduate where they could come and go and do what they please or go to the fraternity house, sorority house, and have all this free time on their hands. Because law school is not like undergraduate. It's apples and oranges. And actual practice in the real world is not like law school. They're apples and oranges. And so this transition that occurs from undergraduate to law student and law student to active lawyer, it's a major transformation. And you will find that in the beginning of these transformations, it's like shock and awe. And as time goes on, this shock and awe is constantly pounding at a law student, or it's pounding at a new lawyer to such a degree that they do not know how to grapple with fighting within the legal matrix. And that then turns into death by sedation. Now, in my life, in my legal career, I've never thought about like killing myself or, throwing myself out a window. But there have been situations where I have just stared at a computer screen, or chit-chatted with some of my friends on social media. And I just didn't want to work. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to type a motion. I didn't want to type a complaint. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And so what happens is you give yourself these excuses not to move forward. And then the next day comes, and what happens is it becomes a new routine and a new pattern of what? Of inaction, of doing nothing. And slowly, it essentially becomes suicide by sedation because you're allowing your 5 domains of body, of being, of balance, of business, and fulfillment to die with it. And when your passion dies, see, passion fills the domains. And when the passion dies, your domains are going to die with it. They're going to die with it. And you're never going to have fulfillment because there's always a process you're going to have to go through to rise as a man or woman, okay, in any business or anything you do in life. And if you don't understand the process and you're not willing to embrace the pain and to deal with it, you're not going to make it. You're going to be the walking dead. And in the legal profession, what you see in today's world is many of the law students, but in particular, many of the lawyers, they are the walking dead. They have that 1,000-yard stare. And they absolutely hate what they do, but they don't know how to get out of it. They do not know how to escape the legal matrix. And this is why we're here now having these conversations. This is why I have formed and am building Legal Warrior. For those of you in law school and those of you that are just starting out or maybe have been a lawyer for a long time working for somebody else that does not understand how to war with the legal matrix. Because if you do not know how to war with the legal matrix, then you're going to get killed on the battlefield of life, personally and professionally. It will happen. You'll never escape. The keys will be there, but you won't recognize the keys that will open the door to the cage that you're in. And I can't stress this enough. Many people in our profession, this legal matrix, are walking around every day not even knowing that they're dying inside. They feel pain, but they've sedated so much that it's like taking a pill where it's just numb the pain, and they have not addressed the underlying pit that keeps them in bondage to the legal matrix. This is why it is so critically important to reach the law students right now so that you law students understand what you're getting into. You need to be able to identify the enemy on the battlefield. And the enemy is the legal matrix. And people continue to ask me, well, what is the legal matrix? The legal matrix are the entities, the agencies, the law schools, the court system, everything in this legal so-called justice system that has been designed to do what? To have conflict and collisions and deadlines and control every aspect of your life as a law student and as a lawyer. And it does not, want you to break free. It wants you to stay in this box, in this prison. That's what the legal matrix is. And for those brave enough and those that have the ruthless commitment to say, I am no longer going to be a prisoner of the legal matrix. I'm no longer going to slave thousands of hours a year for somebody else while I continue to live in scarcity to where I can't even pay my bills. I have no life at all. I have no balance. I have no relationships. The legal matrix, if allowed, will be your death in this life while you're still alive, but you'll really be dead. And it will be this continued death by sedation, this suicide by sedation, because you have to recognize what is going on around you. You have to be alert, awake, and aware. Alert, awake, and aware. Alert, awake, and aware. And see, for me, for many years, being part of this legal matrix, you feel numb because everybody else is in the legal matrix and you don't know any differently until the one day, like me, where you come to a crossroads and all of a sudden the light comes on and you get this message, this calling, like I did in 2018 with this wake-up call from Wake Up Warrior of Garrett J. White, the creator, the owner, the CEO of Wake Up Warrior. And as I sat there and I listened to his message, to his invitation of how to be free as a man in all of these domains, and I watched this video for 65 minutes, and I knew something was happening. I knew right then and there it was a shock and awe. And it awakened me. It awakened me like no other time in my life. And I am in it years later now, and I am not the same man that I was in 2018. I'm not even close. That old version of me is dead. But I am still in a war. I am still in a daily battle against the legal matrix. I am still in this war, in this battle to fight for my freedoms of body, being, balance, business, and fulfillment. It's a never-ending war. It's a never-ending battle because the legal matrix, it runs in perpetuity. It doesn't quit. It doesn't get tired. It has no soul. It does not care who or what it consumes in its wake and in its path. But you can escape the legal matrix. You can be a king and a queen in your own kingdom. You can command your own ship. You can be the leader of your own life. You can. And you want to know why you can? Because I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm not telling you to do something that I'm not fighting for, that I'm not colliding with, that I'm not battling with on an hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. There is no end to this war. There is no end to this battle, but there is freedom while you're in the war, while you're in the battle. I need you to wake up, law students. I need you to wake up, lawyers. I need you to shake the dust off. I need the fog to clear. I need you to have clarity and focus. I need to communicate this message that you are not, and you do not have to serve a life sentence under the legal matrix. There is freedom from this bondage, but you have to make an absolutely bold decision, a ruthless commitment to real, raw, relevant results in your life. I have to do this. I have to begin by leading myself out of the legal matrix. I have to lead myself to battle and to war with the agencies, the entities, the people that comprise the legal matrix that would otherwise destroy me and destroy all of my freedoms in these 5 domains and kill my passion. And if you allow the legal matrix to do this, you will slowly die by sedation. And it will happen until 30 or 40 years will go by. And then you'll really die. And they'll close the casket. They'll nail it shut. They'll lower you into the ground. They'll throw dirt on you. And there'll be a headstone. And probably on your headstone, it'll say, how come you don't write no more? So you have a call to action. And your call to action is right now. It's not tomorrow. It's not next week. It's not next month. And yesterday is gone. Tomorrow has not arrived. And today is what is here right now. You have to do what I did. You have to make a decision. Are you going to sit on the sidelines or are you going to get in the game of life? See, if you sit on the bench, you've made a decision. You've made a decision to take no action. You made a decision to do nothing. That is a decision. And you've allowed the legal matrix to imprison you. And then slowly, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, and year by year, you will be a victim of the silent killer that we call death by sedation. You have a mission. You have a call to action. Have that conversation with me. Gain the skill sets to fight the legal matrix, to escape the legal bondage that you're in as a law student or a lawyer. Join me. Battle with me. War with me. Collide with the legal matrix with me. This is Bryce Denier coming at you from Fayetteville, North Carolina, home of Fort Bragg. That's the real name to me. Always will be. Love and light. This is Bryce Denier, and I'm out of here.